I was 22 years old when this happened to me. And even though many years have passed, I still remember that night clearly, as if it never truly left me, as if something from that place followed me home and never let go. On that day, I was driving to my friend's wedding, which is going to be held the next day. It was a 7-hour journey through empty highways and dark roads. Everything was fine until a massive traffic jam blocked the road for nearly an hour. And by the time I got moving again, a storm hit. Heavy rain, thunder. I could barely see the road in front of me. I searched for a nearby hotel. One showed up just 1 kilometer away. The hotel was old. The paint was faded. The walls looked worn out. And there were no bright lights, no signs of life. Only silence pressing down on everything like a weight. But I didn't care. I just wanted to rest. I stepped inside. The lobby was quiet, the front desk empty. I pressed the bell and waited, feeling irritated, wondering how a hotel could be this careless. After a few minutes, a receptionist appeared, greeting me politely but with a face that showed no emotion, not even a flicker of recognition that I was standing there. She checked and told me room number 5 on the 2nd floor was available. She gave me the key and guided me upstairs. The 2nd floor was freezing, colder than it had any right to be. And when I mentioned it to her, she said she would turn on the heater, a motionless voice. The hallway was long and dimly lit with weak lights, leaving the corners dark. And my room was the last one at the end, past all the other locked doors. The room wasn't cozy, but I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to sleep. I set my alarm and lay down, hoping to leave early in the next morning. I fell asleep quickly. I woke up shivering at 12:30 a.m. The cold was so intense, it felt like the room itself was alive and breathing ice into my lungs. I got angry and called the front desk. No answer. I tried to ignore it and go back to sleep. Then I heard that. Someone's footsteps. Faint at first, then louder. Closer, walking straight toward my room, with a rhythm that sounded deliberate, purposeful, like someone who knew exactly where they were going. The footsteps stopped right outside my door, and I could see a shadow under the gap, a dark shape just standing there. I was about to open the door, but suddenly, the room phone rang. I answered. No one spoke. I heard a strange cracking sound, like bones twisting, like something that shouldn't be making noise was moving on the other end of that line. I said hello again and again, but there was no reply. Just that awful sound crackling through the receiver. I hung up and opened the door. No one was there. The hallway was empty, dead silent. No sign that anyone had been standing outside my room just seconds ago. I thought maybe someone from another room had come by mistake, or maybe I was just tired and hearing things. So I closed the door and went back to bed. 2 minutes later, the footsteps returned, this time louder, heavier, like someone slamming their feet against the floor with each step. I had enough. I grabbed my belt for protection and waited by the door, my hand on the handle, ready to confront whoever was playing this sick joke on me. As I reached to open it, the phone rang again. I turned back. I answered. Heavy breathing filled my ear. Slow, deep, wet breathing that sounded too close, like whoever it was had their mouth pressed right against the receiver. I spoke again and again, demanding to know who it was, but only the breathing continued, rhythmic and deliberate. I hung up angrily. I threw open the door. Nothing. No one. Empty hallway like before. I decided to go downstairs and complain to whoever was running this place, because this wasn't funny anymore. This wasn't acceptable. The ground floor was completely dark when I got down there, and I had to use my phone's flashlight to see anything at all. No one was at the front desk. I felt strange. Then I saw him, a man standing near the door, and when I asked who he was, he said he was the hotel's security guard. I felt relieved for a moment, thinking finally, someone who can explain this. I asked if he had been walking on the second floor. He said no, He always stayed in the guard room and never went upstairs. I said it must have been the receptionist then. He told me the receptionist went home at 10 p.m., hours ago, and there was no one else in the building. That's when fear started creeping in, cold and certain. I told him about the phone calls and his face changed. Something in his expression shifted as he said the room phone had been broken for a long time, completely disconnected, unable to make or receive any calls at all. I asked if anyone else was staying on the second floor. He said no, just me, only me. Everything hit me at once, slamming into my chest like a physical blow. The footsteps outside my door when no one was there, the phone calls from a line that didn't work, the breathing, the cracking sounds. All of it happening while I was completely alone on that floor. My hands started shaking. My body felt cold. So who was walking outside my room? Who was calling me? And was that breathing even real? I didn't wait for answers. I turned to grab my things and leave this place immediately. But the security guard grabbed my arm. His grip was cold, impossibly cold, like touching ice. "Sir," he said, and his voice sounded different now, hollow and distant. "You can't leave yet. You haven't checked out properly." I pulled my arm away and looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. His eyes were completely black, empty. Besides, he continued tilting his head at an unnatural angle. "The receptionist is still waiting for you upstairs. She never really goes home at 10 p.m. She can't. None of us can." My blood ran cold. I ran. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. My hands fumbling with the keys, my breath coming in gasps. I started the engine and drove through that storm, through the darkness, not caring about the rain or the road or anything except getting as far away from that place as possible. I looked at my rearview mirror once. The hotel was gone, just empty road and darkness. But in my pocket, the key to room number 5 was still there, cold and heavy and real. I thought, what just happened? And sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone, I still hear it. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, walking toward my door, and my phone rings, but I never answer. Some nights refuse to end. Some places refuse to let you leave. This is what happened to me 3 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to understand if any of it was real. My girlfriend and I booked a weekend at a mountain hotel for our anniversary. The drive up was beautiful, winding roads through forests that seemed to go on forever. And by the time we arrived, the sun was setting behind the peaks, painting everything in shades of golden shadow. The hotel was old but elegant, the kind of place that felt like it had stories buried in its walls. We checked into room, and my girlfriend loved it immediately. The view, the vintage furniture, the warmth of it all. We had dinner, we laughed, we fell asleep holding hands around midnight. Everything was perfect. At 3 a.m., I woke up to use the bathroom. My girlfriend was still asleep beside me, her breathing soft and peaceful. I walked to the bathroom, and the motion light flickered on automatically. I washed my hands and looked up at the mirror. My girlfriend was standing in the shower behind me, her hair soaking wet, water dripping from her skin, staring at me with unblinking eyes. I turned around fast, but the shower was empty, completely dry. When I looked back at the mirror, she was gone, just my own pale face staring back. I told myself I was half asleep, seeing things, and went back to bed where she lay exactly as I'd left her. But my heart wouldn't stop racing. 20 minutes later, I heard footsteps. The bathroom door closed. The shower turned on. I waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15. "Babe," I called out. "You okay?" No answer. Just the sound of running water. I got up and opened the bathroom door. Steam everywhere. The shower is running full blast, but no one was inside. Then I saw the mirror, completely fogged except for 2 words written in the condensation. "Get out." I turned off the water, my hands shaking, and backed out of the bathroom. My girlfriend was still in bed, still sleeping, exactly where she'd been this whole time. None of this made sense. I walked over to wake her, shook her shoulder gently. "Babe, something's wrong. We need to leave." She didn't respond. I shook harder. "Babe!" She turned over slowly, and when I saw her face, I couldn't breathe. Her eyes were completely white, no pupils, no color, just white. Her skin was ice cold, and water was dripping from her hair onto the pillow. She sat up on the bed, her movements wrong and mechanical, and spoke in a voice that wasn't hers, deeper, hollow, like something else was using her mouth. "You shouldn't have come here." My blood ran cold. I ran. Just grabbed my phone and ran. I made it to the lobby, gasping, trying to explain to the night clerk what I'd seen. He listened calmly, like he'd heard it all before. "The woman in the mirror," he said quietly. "You saw her." I froze. "How did you?" "She died in that room 5 years ago, drowned in the bathtub. Ever since then, guests report seeing her. We've tried everything, but she won't leave," he said. "My girlfriend is still up there," I shouted. "We need to help her." The clerk looked at me with sad, tired eyes and turned his computer screen toward me. One reservation, one guest, one key card issued, my name only. "Sir, you checked in alone." I ran to our room. While I was running, I was sweating and thinking, what's going on? Are these people crazy? What are they talking about? When I reached the room, I looked for my girlfriend. But unexpectedly, she wasn't there. I searched everywhere, but I couldn't find her. I just sat on the bed. My mind was completely messed up with thoughts. I can't believe it. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands, opened my gallery. The selfies we took in the car, the pictures from dinner, everything. In every single photo, I was alone. Empty seat beside me, my arm around nothing. Just me, smiling at a camera, by myself. I left that hotel and drove through the night, my mind unable to process what had happened. When I got home, I sat in my car for an hour. I finally worked up the courage to call her number. It rang, and someone picked up. Heavy breathing, water dripping in the background. Then her voice, distorted and broken, whispered, "I've been waiting for you in room. Why did it take you so long to come back?" The line went dead. I checked the news archives that night, found an article from 5 years ago. Woman found dead in Mountain Hotel. Boyfriend survives tragic anniversary trip. There was a photo, a couple smiling at the camera. It was us, but I don't remember any of it. I don't remember being there 5 years ago. I don't remember her dying. All I know is that room still has my name in the guest book. And somewhere in that hotel, she's still waiting for me to come back to bed. When I was 12 years old, my family went on a mountain hiking trip, a 2-day adventure far from home that left us exhausted and needing a place to stay for the night. My father booked a hotel near the mountains because the price fit our budget. The moment I walked inside, something felt unfamiliar, like the building itself was holding its breath, but we had no choice. The rooms were small, fitting only one bed each, so we booked 3, one for my parents, one for my 2 brothers, and one just for me. At 12 years old, having my own room felt like a victory, even if the hotel gave me an uneasy feeling. My room was dusty, with spider webs in the corners and a musty smell that made my nose wrinkle. On the table sat an old diary, covered in dust. I opened it and saw a name written inside, Jonathan. I wondered who Jonathan was, assumed someone had left it behind. I closed the book without much thought. After a long shower and dinner with my family, I told horror stories to my brothers until we were all yawning. By 11:30 p.m., I was back in my room, locking the door behind me, ready for sleep after an exhausting day. I fell asleep quickly. About an hour later, I woke to the sound of footsteps in the corridor. I didn't think much of it, turned over and tried to go back to sleep. Then I heard them again, But this time, they were inside my room. My heart started pounding. Someone was walking around in the darkness. The footsteps are slow and deliberate, like searching for something. I thought maybe one of my brothers had come to scare me after all those horror stories. But then I remembered. I had locked my door. I definitely locked it. So how did someone get in? The footsteps moved around the room, stopping near the table, then near the bed. Then they stopped completely. I felt relieved for a moment, thinking whoever it was had left. But then I heard breathing. Close. Too close. Right behind my neck, like someone was lying in bed next to me. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I just closed my eyes tightly and prayed, my whole body shaking under the covers. The breathing was steady, rhythmic. It is real, not my imagination. I don't know how long I stayed like that. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Then the breathing stopped. I heard footsteps move toward the table. I heard the sound of pages turning. Someone was reading the diary. But who? And why? Eventually the sound stopped. The room fell silent. And somehow, without meaning to, I fell back asleep. When I woke up in the morning, I immediately thought about the night before. I got out of bed and walked to the table. The diary was gone. My heart sank. I checked my bag, checked everywhere. Nothing else was missing. Whoever came into my locked room only wanted that diary. But why? What was so important about it? I decided not to tell my parents. If I did, they'd never let me have my own room again. And I didn't want to lose that freedom over some stranger's visit. After showering and changing, I went downstairs for breakfast. As I passed the front desk, my eyes caught something on the wall, a framed photograph with words underneath. Beloved Jonathan. The name looks familiar. Then I remembered the diary. Was this Jonathan from the diary? I froze. The receptionist noticed me staring and asked, "May I help you, sir?" I pointed at the photo. "Who is that?" She smiled sadly. "He was the owner of this hotel." "Where is he now?" Her smile faded. "He went missing 2 years ago, vanished while sleeping in his bed. We searched everywhere, but all we found was his diary. No other trace of him." My stomach dropped. "Which room was his?" "Room number 6 on the second floor corner," she said. "That's the room you stayed in last night. We never opened it, but we were fully booked yesterday and had no choice." Everything clicked into place. The footsteps, the breathing, the diary. Jonathan had come back to his room. He had come back for his diary. But was he alive? A ghost? Something else? The receptionist looked at me with concern. "Did something happen to you, sir?" "No," I lied. "Nothing happened. I'm just confused." After breakfast, my family prepared to leave. But before we left, I went back to room number 6 one last time. I pulled out a piece of paper and wrote, "If Jonathan is alive, please come back. There are people waiting for you." I left it on the table, where the diary had been, and walked out, closing the door behind me. Years have passed since that night, and I still think about it sometimes. Did Jonathan find my note? Is he still wandering that room, searching for something he lost? Or did he finally find what he was looking for in that diary and move on? I'll never know, but sometimes, late at night, I wonder if he's still there in room number 6, breathing beside sleeping guests, turning pages in the darkness, searching for answers that only he understands.